Have you ever lie awake at night, staring at the ceiling, thinking about rent? Not in a panic, but with that low hum of anxiety, the subtle pressure of knowing that no matter how many hours you work, the next bill is always looming. That quiet, nagging thought. What if there were a way to let money handle this for you? To stop the cycle of chasing paychecks, just to cover basics. Most people don't believe that's possible. They assume covering recurring expenses requires a higher salary, overtime, or working until their back aches. They think financial freedom is reserved for the few who stumble onto luck or inherit wealth. And I get it. I've been there. The difference, though, isn't luck. It's strategy, discipline, and understanding how money grows quietly when treated correctly. My name is Rio, and I've spent over a decade studying how money interacts with human behavior. I've helped people shift from living paycheck to paycheck to designing lives where monthly essentials like rent are covered automatically, predictably, without stress. And what I've seen repeatedly is this. The right combination of dividend-paying investments can create a foundation that changes how you experience money entirely. Here's the first counterintuitive insight. Most people think income begins and ends with work. They assume building wealth requires scaling hours, climbing corporate ladders, or taking big risks in volatile markets. But the reality is quieter. You can start by targeting predictable, recurring cash flows, something that pays consistently, month after month. That's where dividends come in, and it's why this method works. I want to introduce a small turning point you might not expect. It isn't about buying a flashy stock or timing the market perfectly. It's about reaching a threshold where your rent or any other fixed monthly expense is essentially autopilot. Think about that. The pressure of rent removed from your mental space. Not eliminated entirely, but handled systematically. That threshold, once crossed, begins to change everything. Before reaching it, money controls you. You spend mental energy on small emergencies. Scarcity drives decisions. Fear of unexpected costs can dominate your thoughts. Survival mode dictates choices, from what to eat to how to commute. But once that threshold exists, a reliable stream covering a major recurring expense, your mindset transforms. Stressors shrink. You regain mental bandwidth. Opportunities no longer intimidate you. They become real, actionable choices. Let's put some numbers to this. Imagine a rental payment of $1,200 per month. 7 carefully selected dividend-paying stocks, each producing predictable yields, could collectively generate this amount. With $100,000 invested across these companies, at an average dividend yield of 5%, the math works. Your monthly dividends approach $1,250, enough to cover rent, with a margin for reinvestment or additional growth. This isn't fantasy, it's a disciplined application of time, consistency, and compounding. Here's where the invisible threshold becomes evident. The first few months, your dividends might feel modest. You'll look at $400, then $600, thinking it's small, inconsequential. But compounding quietly accelerates growth. Reinvesting dividends amplifies returns. Each contribution, each payout, layers on the last. And suddenly, covering a fixed expense feels inevitable rather than aspirational. Psychologically, the transformation is profound. Decisions that once provoked anxiety now feel optional. A surprise repair bill doesn't derail you. Career choices, side hustles, and opportunities feel strategic instead of desperate. Your identity shifts from someone constrained by scarcity to someone empowered by control. You no longer obsess over money. You use it intentionally. This change is more than math, it's mental clarity. You start distinguishing between small, immediate concerns and long-term, life-level decisions. Housing, transportation, career direction, these dominate your attention. Minor expenses fade in significance. Coffee, streaming subscriptions, impulse purchases, they matter less than the compounding foundation you've built. Walking away money enters the picture subtly but powerfully. Knowing that rent is covered automatically changes negotiation dynamics. Offers, contracts, and decisions in your professional life feel different. You don't have to accept less than your worth. Leverage grows naturally because your foundation supports deliberate choice. Confidence isn't manufactured. It emerges from the stability you've built. But there's an important caution. Reaching this threshold is not a reward. It's a foundation. Lifestyle inflation. The temptation to upgrade unnecessarily bigger apartment, more luxurious car can quietly erode progress if not managed. Each dollar spent on non-essential expenses is a dollar that could compound a missed opportunity for future freedom. Understanding this cost emotionally, without guilt or judgment, is essential. As compounding unfolds over months and years, the math begins to feel like momentum. Initial contributions, seemingly small, combine with reinvested dividends to accelerate growth. What once felt slow now feels inevitable. Your decisions, reinforced by this momentum, start scaling. New investments, strategic contributions, and patience all feed the compounding engine. The psychological effect deepens over time. You notice stress diminishing, not in dramatic moments, but in subtle shifts. Surprises are no longer crises. Opportunities feel manageable, approachable, even exciting. You can make deliberate choices without pressure. That's the invisible power of a well-constructed dividend portfolio. It shapes behavior, perception, and identity as much as it generates income. Identity shifts follow naturally. You become someone who exercises discipline without struggle, trusts delayed gratification, and approaches risk calmly. Short-term fluctuations in the market don't trigger panic. Decisions become deliberate, not reactive. Your attention shifts from minor, urgent concerns to strategic, meaningful choices. Big decisions dominate over small ones. Housing, career moves, investing, strategy, and lifestyle choices scale with your priorities. Minor expenses recede in importance. Your mental energy focuses on reinforcing momentum, growing stability, and expanding optionality. At this level, growth isn't about luck. It's about discipline, consistency, and understanding compounding. Each dividend reinvested, each new contribution, each month of patience accelerates the trajectory. Time, not speculation, becomes your greatest ally. Eventually, you reach a point where covering rent is automatic, but the effect is deeper than finances. It's psychological. The pressure lifts, stress diminishes. You can make choices calmly, strategically, and intentionally. Emergencies are manageable scenarios. Opportunities feel accessible. Life begins to feel designed rather than reactive. The quiet power here is subtle but profound. 7 dividend stocks, carefully chosen and disciplined over time, do more than pay bills. They give you mental clarity, freedom of choice, and strategic flexibility. They allow you to operate from stability, not fear. And over time, that stability compounds into more than money. It compounds into a life designed intentionally. Start small. Apply the formula. Choose consistent dividend-paying stocks. Reinvest, be patient, and observe momentum, quietly building. The invisible threshold will reveal itself. When it does, recognize it not as luck or reward, but as the inevitable outcome of repeated, deliberate action. One day, the realization hits. Compounding was never slow. You were just watching it before momentum gathered. That realization, calm, assured, subtle, feels like control. It feels like freedom. It feels like a life designed deliberately rather than dictated by circumstance. And your future self, the version who can make decisions calmly, strategically, and intentionally, will quietly thank you for every disciplined contribution, every reinvested dividend, and every patient choice that built this foundation of freedom. Thanks for listening. I'll see you in the next video.